If you are watching this right now, something inside you already knows that your old life no longer fits. This isn't motivation, it's recognition. That quiet pull you feel, the sense that something is ending, even though nothing obvious has changed, is the beginning of a psychological comeback that Carl Jung wrote about long before social media, manifestation trends, or self-help slogans existed. For women especially, this moment often arrives disguised as exhaustion, emotional confusion, or a deep restlessness that no achievement seems to soothe. You may feel behind, invisible, or as if you've somehow failed. But Jung would say this: the psyche only dismantles what has already outlived its purpose. This comeback does not start with action. It starts in the unconscious. Long before your outer life shifts, your inner world begins sending signals. Dreams become intense. Old memories resurface. Emotions feel louder, heavier, harder to ignore. This is not regression. It is awakening. The unconscious is knocking because it is time for you to stop living from borrowed identities, inherited expectations, and survival roles you learned to perform rather than chose to embody. Many women are taught to adapt, to please, to hold emotional weight for others. Eventually, the psyche rebels, not to destroy you, but to free you. If this resonates, pause for a moment. Subscribe to Inner Wise Woman so you can continue this journey with us, and write love in the comments. That simple act signals your readiness to engage consciously with this transformation instead of resisting it unconsciously. Jung believed that when the unconscious awakens, it does not ask politely, it interrupts. You may feel less tolerant of nonsense, less willing to abandon yourself for harmony, less able to pretend you are fine. Relationships that once felt safe may now feel constricting. Goals that motivated you before may suddenly feel hollow. This is not because you are ungrateful or broken. It is because your psyche is reorganizing itself around the self, the deeper center of who you truly are, beyond roles, masks, and conditioning. For women, this stage can feel especially destabilizing because society often rewards consistency over authenticity. When you change internally, the world around you may still expect the old version of you to show up. Jung called this the tension of opposites. You are no longer who you were, but you are not yet who you are becoming. The ego feels threatened here because it senses loss of control. And when the ego loses control, fear appears, doubt appears. You may question your sanity, your worth, your timing. But here's the truth Jung emphasized: the psyche does not awaken without reason. If this process has started, it is because something stronger than fear is now guiding you. Not force, not willpower, intelligence, inner intelligence. This is only the first stage. The awakening is just the signal. What follows will change how you see yourself, your past, and your future entirely. When the unconscious awakens, the next phase begins quietly but relentlessly, the transition phase. Jung described this as the most uncomfortable stage of transformation because it is defined by uncertainty. The old self dissolves, but the new one has not yet formed. For many women, this feels like standing in emotional fog. You know you cannot go back, but you cannot see forward either. And because there is no clear external marker for this stage, it is often mistaken for failure, depression, or losing direction. In truth, this phase is necessary. The psyche cannot build something new on foundations that are no longer authentic, so it begins to loosen them. You may notice that your usual coping mechanisms stop working. Distractions don't distract. Advice doesn't soothe. Productivity feels empty. You might feel more sensitive, more reactive, or paradoxically more numb. Jung would say the ego is being humbled here. The structures you relied on to define yourself are being gently, or sometimes violently, removed. For women, this stage often collides with deeply ingrained roles: caregiver, peacemaker, strong one, the one who endures. When these identities begin to dissolve, guilt often arises. You may feel selfish for needing space, disloyal for questioning relationships, weak for feeling lost. But this guilt is not a moral signal. It is a conditioning response. The psyche is asking you to stop measuring your worth by how well you maintain old patterns that no longer align with your inner truth. This is also the phase where fear speaks the loudest. The mind looks for certainty and finds none, so it creates stories. I'm falling behind. I've wasted time. Others have it figured out. Jung warned that during transitions, the ego will cling to comparisons and catastrophes to regain control. But these thoughts are not guidance. They are symptoms of a system in collapse. And collapse, in Jungian psychology, is not the opposite of growth. It is the doorway to it. Many women try to escape this stage by forcing clarity. They rush decisions. They jump into new relationships, new goals, new identities. But premature action often recreates the old pattern in a new costume. Jung emphasized the importance of staying with the tension, not fixing it, not numbing it, allowing the psyche to reorganize itself at its own rhythm. This requires patience, which feels unnatural in a world that demands visible progress. You may notice a desire to withdraw, to simplify, to reduce noise. This is not avoidance, it is incubation. Just as seeds break open in darkness, the new self requires a space free from constant evaluation. If you feel slower, quieter, less available, it is because your energy is turning inward. Something essential is being formed beneath the surface. This stage does not last forever, but it cannot be skipped. The discomfort you feel is proportional to the depth of the transformation underway. And soon, something unexpected begins to rise from this emptiness. As the old structures dissolve and the transition deepens, the psyche introduces the most misunderstood phase of all, the rise of the shadow. Jung described the shadow as everything within us that was pushed away in order to be accepted, loved, or safe. For women, this often includes anger, desire, ambition, boundaries, intuition, and power. When the comeback truly begins, these disowned parts do not stay quiet anymore. They rise. And when they rise, it can feel frightening. You may suddenly feel emotions that seem out of character, irritation where you used to comply, clarity where you once doubted, a sharp intolerance for disrespect you previously endured. This does not mean you are becoming harsher or less compassionate. It means you are becoming whole. The shadow does not appear to punish you. It appears to restore balance. Jung was clear on this point. Whatever we refuse to integrate will eventually control us unconsciously. But what we face consciously becomes a source of strength. Many women were conditioned early to associate goodness with self-sacrifice. The shadow often carries the traits that threatened that image. Assertiveness was labeled selfish. Sensuality was labeled dangerous. Independence was labeled cold. When these qualities surface, guilt and fear follow. You may worry you are becoming too much, too intense, too different, but the psyche is not interested in fitting in. It is interested in truth. This stage can create inner conflict. One part of you wants peace, harmony, approval. Another part wants honesty, autonomy, self-respect. Jung called this the confrontation with the shadow, and he believed it was essential for individuation. Without it, the personality remains fragmented, driven by unconscious compensations instead of conscious choice. You may notice that old triggers lose their grip while new ones appear. Situations that once drained you now ignite anger or clarity instead of collapse. This is not regression, it is recalibration. The psyche is teaching you where your boundaries actually are, not where you were told they should be. For women, this often results in difficult but necessary changes in relationships. Not because you no longer care, but because you now care about yourself too. Dreams may become vivid during this phase. Symbols of confrontation, fire, darkness, or hidden figures are common. Jung saw dreams as messages from the unconscious, guiding integration. Pay attention to them. They are not random. Neither are the sudden insights, the moments of recognition, the sense that you are finally seeing patterns clearly rather than emotionally. This phase is uncomfortable because it requires honesty without self-judgment. The goal is not to eliminate the shadow, but to listen to it, to ask what it wants to protect, to understand what it carries that you need. Once integrated, the shadow transforms from a threat into an ally. And after this integration begins, something remarkable happens. You start responding differently to life itself. As the shadow integrates, the psyche enters a quieter but powerful phase, the restructuring of inner power. This is the moment Jung described as true change, because it is not visible at first. Nothing dramatic may happen on the outside, yet internally, your reactions shift. And when reactions change, identity follows. You no longer respond automatically from fear, conditioning, or the need for validation. There is a pause where there used to be urgency, a choice where there used to be reflex. For women, this phase is deeply transformative because it rewires how you relate to conflict, intimacy, and self-worth. You may notice that situations which once triggered anxiety now feel strangely neutral. You still feel emotion, but it no longer overwhelms you. This is not emotional detachment, it is emotional sovereignty. Jung believed this shift signaled that the ego was no longer running the psyche alone. The self, the deeper organizing center, had begun to lead. You may also notice that you stop over-explaining yourself. Words become simpler. Boundaries become cleaner. You no longer feel compelled to convince others of your perspective. This often surprises people around you because they are used to the old dynamic. Some may resist the change. Others may step back. This is not a sign that you are doing something wrong. It is a sign that the relational system is recalibrating in response to your internal restructuring. During this phase, many women experience a subtle grief, not for what they lost, but for how long they lived disconnected from themselves. Memories resurface, not to hurt you, but to be re-seen from a place of strength. Jung saw this as retroactive meaning-making. The psyche revisits the past to reclaim wisdom that was inaccessible before integration. You may finally understand why certain relationships failed, why certain choices were necessary, why certain pain shaped you rather than broke you. This stage also brings discernment. You begin to sense when something is misaligned without needing proof. Your intuition sharpens, not as impulse, but as quiet knowing. This is the feminine psyche in alignment with the self. Not reactive, not submissive, not defensive, grounded. Externally, life may still look unchanged. Internally, everything is different. You choose rest without guilt, solitude without loneliness, action without desperation. Jung emphasized that when inner authority is established, outer authority loses its power over you. You no longer need permission to trust yourself. This restructuring prepares you for the next essential movement of the comeback, withdrawal. Not as isolation, but as ceremony. A turning inward that protects what is newly formed before it is exposed to the world. As inner power stabilizes, the psyche naturally moves into withdrawal from the crowd. Jung did not see this as avoidance or regression, but as a ceremonial silence. After deep restructuring, the self requires protection. You may feel less interested in noise, opinions, trends, or constant interaction. Social media may feel draining. Conversations may feel shallow. This is not superiority, it is selectivity. Your energy is no longer scattered, so it becomes precious. For many women, this stage can feel confusing because we are taught that visibility equals value. But Jung taught the opposite. The most important transformations happen away from the spotlight. Withdrawal allows the psyche to consolidate its gains. It's the sacred pause before re-entry. You are not disappearing, you are incubating. During this phase, synchronicity begins to appear, small, precise events that feel meaningful rather than random. You think of someone and they contact you. You read a line that answers a question you never spoke aloud. Opportunities appear without force. Jung believed synchronicities were signals of alignment between inner and outer worlds. Not rewards, not magic, but confirmation. The psyche is no longer fighting life, it is moving with it. This is often when women realize their comeback is already underway, not because everything is perfect, but because effort feels different. You are no longer pushing uphill, you are responding, acting from clarity instead of fear, trusting timing instead of chasing outcomes. If you feel the shift, honor it. This is not passivity, it is precision. Before we move further, If this journey is resonating, subscribe to Inner Wise Woman now. Staying connected supports this work and reminds your psyche that you are not walking this path alone. Then comes the tipping point. Jung was very clear here. The comeback does not arrive suddenly. It becomes visible suddenly. What looks like an overnight change is actually the result of long inner preparation. One day, you notice that your environment begins to mirror your inner state. People treat you differently. Opportunities meet you where you are. Decisions feel obvious instead of heavy. This is not because you became someone new. It is because you stopped betraying who you always were. The psyche no longer needs to create symptoms to get your attention. It no longer needs to disrupt your life. You are listening now. For women, this is the return of embodied confidence. Not loud, not performative, quiet and undeniable. You do not need to announce your comeback. It speaks through how you move, choose, and relate. Jung called this individuation, becoming whole rather than becoming impressive. If you are seeing this video at this moment, it is not coincidence, it is resonance. Something in you is ready to live from inner authority rather than external pressure. The old cycle has closed. The new one is not coming. It is already happening. You don't need to rush. You don't need to prove anything. You are exactly where the psyche intended you to be.